Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome back to the Overflow podcast, the only place where we oversteer into knowledge and understeer away from boredom. In today's episode, we're re-sliding headfirst into the high-speed world of racing, physics, and driver techniques, comparing what happens behind the wheel or handlebars across Formula One, GT3, rally, drifting, and motorcycle racing. We'll explore how drivers balance on the razor's edge of traction, manipulate, oversteer, and understeer like it's Essian Archie formed, and somehow keep it all together at 200 kilometers per hour with G-forces trying to yeet them off the track. From the surgical precision of F1 to the four-wheeled chaos of rally, the tail-happy world of drifting, and the knee-dragging madness of motorcycle racing, each discipline plays by its own rules of physics. And today, we're breaking them all down like a poorly timed downshift. Oh, and here's a quick joke to kick things off. Why did the race car driver bring string to the track? So they could tie up loose ends in their cornering technique. If that made you groan, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support keeps this podcast going faster than a GT3 car on a hot lap. Strap in, hold tight, and let's hit the apex of today's episode.
Welcome to the deep dive. So, forget about those little skids we all try to avoid on the way to work.
Yeah, definitely not talking about those slips.
No. Today, we're looking at how the real masters, rally drivers, drifters, bike racers, handle oversteer and understeer.
And not just handle them, but actually, use them, turn them into tools for performance?
Exactly. Weaponize them, almost. We've dug into some really fascinating stuff here, looking at the techniques, the physics.
It's pretty cool stuff, from the nitty-gritty driving methods to why it all works.
Right. So our mission, for you listening in, is to really get a sense of how making a car or bike slide deliberately can actually make it faster or more agile in these sports.
Yeah, there are some surprising applications and just incredible skill involved. You'll get a quick, but hopefully pretty thorough understanding.
Okay, let's dive in then. Where should we start? Rally seems like a good place.
Let's do it. Kick things off in the dirt, yeah. Rally racing, we're talking incredibly varied surfaces, often really low grip.
Like gravel, mud, snow, ice, you name it, they race on it.
Exactly. And on those kinds of surfaces, maybe counterintuitively, a bit of oversteer, the rear stepping out, is often just what the doctor ordered.
So they want the car to slide.
Often, yes. To help pivot the car quickly through tight corners. It makes the car feel more agile, helps rotate it sharply.
How do they make that happen? Is it just flooring it?
Not quite that simple. There are specific techniques. Trail braking is a big one.
Okay, explain that.
So they'll keep a little bit of brake pressure on as they turn into the corner.
Right.
That shifts the weight forward onto the front tires, makes the rear lighter, more likely to lose grip and swing around, especially helpful on loose stuff like gravel.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Weight transfer.
Precisely. And then you've got the famous Scandinavian flick, or feints.
Oh, yeah, I've seen videos of that. It looks wild.
It is. You flick the steering wheel away from the corner just for a split second, then immediately turn back in hard.
Fly away first.
That quick flick unsettles the car, throws the weight around, and helps initiate the slide, especially on really slippery surfaces like ice or snow. It's like a little setup move.
A deliberate wiggle to get sideways. Cool.
Yeah.
What else?
Well, throttle control is huge, especially in rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive cars. Lifting off the gas suddenly mid-corner can make the rear step out.
Lift off oversteer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then applying power carefully can help maintain or control that slide. It's a real balancing act.
And the handbrake, right. You can't talk rally without the handbrake turn.
Oh, absolutely essential, especially for super tight hairpins or junctions. A quick pull locks the rear wheels, the car just pivots right around. It's unique to rally, really, as such a core technique.
Okay, so they're often trying to get sideways, but what about understeer? That's still bad, presumably.
Generally, yeah. Understeer, where the front tires lose grip and the car just pushes straight, is usually not what you want. It happens if you just go into a corner way too fast.
Tires can't cope, car runs wide.
Exactly. Or in front-wheel drive cars, if you get on the power too early or too hard coming out of a corner, you can just overwhelm the front tires and they'll push wide.
Still a balancing act then.
Always.
Yeah.
And setup plays a role too, of course. Suspension stiffness, tire choice, tire pressures. They tweak all that to influence whether the car tends towards understeer or oversteer for specific conditions.
But the main takeaway for rally is that controlled oversteer is a tool, not always a mistake.
Absolutely. They're constantly dancing on that edge of grip, using those small slides for agility on surfaces where grip is always changing.
Okay, that's rally. Now let's shift gears to something where sliding isn't just a tool, it's Well, it's the whole point. Drifting.
Ah, yes, drifting. The art of controlled chaos is a good way to put it. Here, oversteer isn't just used. It's initiated, sustained, and judged. It's everything.
And they have some pretty dramatic ways to get it started, right?
Oh, yeah. Things like the clutch kick.
How's that work?
You quickly press and release the clutch while keeping the revs up. It sends a shock through the drivetrain, breaks the rear tires loose instantly.
Sounds aggressive.
It is. Handbrake pulls are common too, similar to rally, but maybe used more aggressively to initiate. And just power over, basically, enough throttle to spin the rear wheels.
And weight transfer, like the feint we talked about in rally.
Yep, that's used too. Anything to get the car unsettled and start that slide. But then comes the hard part, controlling it.
That's where the countersteering comes in, steering into the slide.
Exactly. Constant rapid steering adjustments, turning the wheels opposite to the direction the rear is sliding, and incredibly fine throttle control to maintain the angle.
It looks so smooth when the pros do it, but it must be incredibly busy in the cockpit.
Oh, it is. Lightning fast inputs.
Yeah.
Now, here's something interesting. You'd think understeer would be the absolute enemy in drifting.
Right. It's the opposite of what you want.
Mostly. But skilled drifters can actually use moments of slight understeer strategically.
Wait, how? Why?
Well, sometimes, if the car is rotating too fast, about to spin, they might intentionally overload the front tires just a tiny bit, maybe with a little too much steering angle or a touch of brake to slow that rotation down.
So using front push to control the rear slide? That's wild.
It is. Or they might use it subtly to adjust the car's angle or line mid-drift. It's not the goal, but it's a tool in the toolbox for fine-tuning and recovery.
Like a little safety brake for the slide.
Sort of, yeah. It helps prevent spinning out completely and allows them to maintain forward momentum along the desired path.
And setup matters here too, I assume. Things like wheel alignment.
Hugely, especially toe settings, whether the front wheels point slightly inwards or outwards. That affects how easily the car initiates drift and how stable it feels mid-slide.
So even in this discipline built purely on oversteer, understeer has a small tactical role.
A subtle one, yeah. It's all about balancing that primary oversteer, keeping it controlled.
And managing that massive slide involves more than just countersteering and throttle.
Oh yes, those crazy steering angles you see. They often use Angle Kit's modified suspension parts that allow the front wheels to turn much further than stock.
Gives them more range for correction.
Exactly. Plus, they use the brakes and clutch subtly during the drift, not just to start it, maybe to scrub a tiny bit of speed or reduce wheel spin if it gets excessive.
And weight transfer again.
Yes, but here's a key difference from, say, circuit racing. In drifting, weight transfer is often used to reduce rear grip to help initiate or maintain the slide.
Ah, so the opposite of circuit racing where you want maximum grip everywhere.
Precisely. In drifting, you're deliberately manipulating weight shifts, initiating the drift, controlling it, transitioning between slides, often by trying to unload the rear tires. It's like surfing on that edge of traction, deliberately provoking instability.
A complete inversion of normal driving goals. Okay, let's make another shot turn. 2 wheels now. Bike racing.
Motorcycles. Yeah, a whole different dynamic. Leaning is obviously key, and you've only got 2 small contact patches.
So grip is even more critical, I'd imagine. Can bikes oversteer and understeer too?
They absolutely can. Oversteer on a bike, the rear sliding, can actually be induced intentionally by skilled riders.
How?
In some disciplines, like dirt track or even top-level MotoGP, riders might use the rear brake gently mid-corner. It can help tighten the line by inducing a small, controlled rear slide.
Like trail braking, but with the rear brake?
Sort of, yeah. And power oversteer is definitely a thing. Too much throttle on a corner exit, especially when leaned over, can easily spin up the rear tire.
That sounds sketchy.
It requires incredibly fine control. And maybe the most unique aspect is body position. Riders hang off the bike, shifting their weight way inside the turn. This is crucial for managing grip and can even help initiate or control rear slides.
So the rider is part of the suspension and balance system almost.
Very much so. Now, understeer on a bike, the front end pushing or sliding is almost universally bad news.
Why is that?
Well, if the front tire loses grip when you're leaned over, there's very little you can do. It usually results in a crash. It can happen from braking too hard with the front brake while turning.
Overloading the front tire.
Exactly. Or just entering the corner too fast for the available grip. Or even abruptly closing the throttle mid-corner.
Closing the throttle, how does that cause understeer?
It causes engine braking and shifts weight forward, certainly, off the rear tire and onto the front. If the front is already near its limit, that extra load can cause it to push wide.
Wow. So it's incredibly sensitive to inputs.
Extremely. So while you might see controlled rear slides used strategically, front-end push is something every rider tries desperately to avoid. Maintaining front grip is paramount for steering.
You mentioned leaning. There's some physics behind how much they need to lean, right?
Yeah, there's an equation, basically tan theta, v squared, gr. Theta is the lean angle, v is speed, g is gravity, r is the turn radius.
Okay, so faster speed or tighter turn means more lean angle. Makes sense.
Right, but leaning has its own limits and impacts control.
How so?
Well, the tires only have so much grip. As you lean further, the contact patch changes shape, and you're demanding more lateral grip. Lean too far, maybe past 45-50 degrees or so, and you risk just sliding out, especially if the surface isn't perfect.
The tire runs out of edge grip.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
Also, the bike's suspension doesn't work as effectively when it's leaned way over. It struggles to absorb bumps, which can also cause a loss of traction.
And you can physically run out of room, right? Scraping parts.
Definitely. Foot pegs, exhausts, fairings. Hitting the pavement with hard parts at extreme lean angles can unsettle the bike dramatically, even lift the tire off the ground momentarily. Big problem.
So there's a physical limit to lean dictated by grip, suspension, and ground clearance.
Correct, which is why techniques to optimize lean are so important.
Like hanging off, shifting their body weight.
Exactly. By hanging their body way off to the inside, the rider can keep the bike itself more upright for a given speed and turn radius. This preserves some tire grip and suspension travel.
Clever. And counter steering. We mentioned that for cars. How does it work on bikes?
It's fundamental. To initiate a lean and turn, say left, you actually have a small, brief push forward on the left handlebar.
Push left to go left?
Sounds weird, but yes. That input makes the bike start to lean left, and then you guide it through the turn. It's how you make quick changes in direction.
Okay, takes some getting used to conceptually.
And smooth throttle control throughout the corner is vital. Abrupt inputs while leaned over are a recipe for disaster. You need that steady drive to keep the rear tire gripping and the chassis stable.
It really highlights the differences compared to cars, the leaning, the tiny contact patches, the rider managing weight so actively, the sensitive braking. It's just a different universe.
It really is. But across all these disciplines, rally, drifting, bikes, even circuit cars, there's one common thread: finding the limit.
Right, that ragged edge where the tires are just about to give up but haven't quite yet, that's where the speed is.
Exactly. And it's not about being reckless. It's about understanding precisely where that limit is through feel and practice so you can operate right up against it.
How do they find it? Just push until they crash?
Hopefully not. It's usually a progressive thing. Gradually increasing speed, braking later, turning harder, always using smooth, precise inputs.
Feeling for the edge.
Yes, feeling those subtle signals from the vehicle. The way the steering feels, vibrations, tiny little slips. That sensory feedback is crucial.
And data helps now too, right?
Oh, massively.
Yeah.
Especially in pro racing. Data logging tells them exactly what the car or bike was doing. G-forces, speeds, temperatures. It helps them understand if they were actually at the limit or maybe even overdriving somewhere.
And the best drivers and riders, they seem to recover from small moments over the limit almost instantly.
That's mistake management, yeah. Part of knowing the limit is knowing how to react when you momentarily exceed it and learning from those moments. Plus, the limit isn't fixed. Tire wear, fuel load, track conditions all change it. So they have to constantly adapt.
And each discipline probably has slightly different ways of finding that limit.
Sure. In circuit racing, like F1 or GT cars, trail braking into the corner helps feel the front grip limit. And optimizing the racing line is all about carrying the maximum speed the grip allows.
On bikes.
It's about progressively adding lean angle, really concentrating on the feedback from the tires, feeling for that edge grip.
Rally.
Adapting to the surface constantly, feeling for slip almost continuously, knowing how much slide is okay versus too much.
And drifting.
Well, it's deliberately initiating the slide, then finding the limit of control within that slide, the maximum angle and speed they can sustain.
Fascinating how the same goal, finding the limit, manifests so differently.
It really is.
Yeah.
And even within circuit racing, the approach varies. Take F1 versus GT3 cars.
Right. Both race on tracks, but very different machines.
Totally. F1 cars are all about extreme aerodynamic downforce and being super lightweight.
Glued to the track by air pressure, basically.
At speed, yes.
Yeah.
That allows them to take corners incredibly fast, often using wide sweeping lines to maximize that aero effect, and they brake incredibly late and hard.
What about GT3 cars? They look more like road cars.
They're based on road cars, yeah. Heavier, much less downforce than F1, so they rely more on mechanical grip, just the tire sticking to the road.
How does that change how they're driven at the limit?
Their cornering lines might be a bit tighter, maybe more focused on getting a good drive out onto the next straight. And the braking is usually a bit earlier, maybe more gradual, often using ABS systems, which F1 didn't have.
So aero grip versus mechanical grip dictates a different approach.
Fundamentally, yes. It shows how car design really shapes driving technique at the limit.
Okay, let's loop back quickly to rally because the terrain itself is just such a massive factor.
Oh, huge. The fact that the surface can change from tarmac to gravel to mud in seconds is what makes rally unique.
How do drivers cope? Just pure reaction.
Reaction, anticipation, and adaptation. They learn to read the surface ahead. On gravel or dirt, they expect less grip, so they'll use more aggressive steering, maybe provoke slides with the throttle or flicks to help rotate the car, constantly making small corrections.
Okay, embracing the slide.
To a degree, yes. Then they hit tarmac, and suddenly it's maximum precision, smooth inputs, trying not to slide to use the higher grip.
In mud or snow.
Mud needs incredibly delicate inputs, too much power, and you just spin. Snow and ice demand extreme smoothness, relying heavily on studded tires if allowed. Sand driving is all about maintaining momentum, keeping the car floating on top.
It's like they need a completely different driving style for every surface.
Pretty much. And the car setup has to match. You can't run the same suspension on rough gravel as you do on smooth tarmac.
Right. Softer, more travel, higher ride height for gravel.
Generally, yes. To absorb bumps and maintain contact, then stiffer, lower for tarmac for better response.
And tires must be a huge variable.
Critical. Specific tread patterns for gravel, tarmac, snow, ice. Even adjusting tire pressures makes a difference. Lower pressures can sometimes help on very loose surfaces. Higher pressures give sharper response on tarmac.
So it's not just the driver adapting, the whole team is adapting the car constantly.
Exactly. Plus, rally requires immense environmental awareness. Reading the road, listening to the co-driver's pace notes about what's coming up next.
Because you can't see miles ahead, like on a track.
No way. You're reacting to calls about corners you haven't even seen yet.
Yeah.
And dealing with weather changes, fog, rain. It demands incredible adaptability and trust between driver and co-driver.
Just a relentless challenge.
It really is. So, wrapping this all up, it's pretty clear, isn't it? Oversteer and understeer, things we usually try to avoid, become crucial tools in the hands of these expert racers.
Yeah, whether it's the agility in rally, the controlled chaos of drifting, or that delicate balance on a bike, they're not fighting the limits of grip, they're using them.
It showcases such specialized skills, such a deep, intuitive understanding of physics in action. They're all interacting with grip in vastly different but equally impressive ways.
It really makes you appreciate the level of control involved.
Absolutely. And maybe, for everyone listening, here's a final thought. Think about how these principles of managing grip, even in these extreme sports, relate to everyday driving.
How so?
Well, just being aware of how your car reacts, how weight shifts, how tires connect to the road. Even if you're not trying to drift around a corner, that underlying awareness of grip and control is always relevant for safety and smoothness.
That's a great point. Maybe next time you see rally highlights or a MotoGP race, look closely. You might spot some of these techniques, the trail braking, the body position, the controlled slides, and have a whole new appreciation for what's going on.
Exactly. It's physics and skill combining in some pretty spectacular ways.
And that brings us across the finish line for this episode of the Overflow podcast. We've drifted through the physics, downshifted into the techniques, and compared how the pros tame oversteer, outbrake the competition, and dance on the edge of traction across everything from Formula One to rally stages and sideways drifts. Whether it is managing weight transfer like a Jedi, or using tire slip like it is black magic, one thing's clear. Driving at the limit is less about horsepower and more about brain power, with just a hint of insanity. So, next time you re-out on the track, just taking a spirited drive to the grocery store, remember, it is not understeer until you see your own tail. If you learned something, laughed, or just enjoyed the ride, tu usa, favor la, comment, share, and subscribe, because unlike tire grip, our appreciation for you never runs out. Thanks for tuning in to the Overflow podcast, where we break down big ideas faster than a rally car on loose gravel. Catch you in the next episode.